the bigger picture has so much more information than the little sliver of information being presented. And the thing is, as an aware being, as someone who is energetically sensitive, it's really easy to get pulled into that little snippet of projection of information, which often can sway us into believing it's true and pull us into all kinds of wonky spaces. As an infinite being, we are very intuitively aware that something isn't right, but often we will believe anyways. And we invoke this information into our energy, our space, and our consciousness because that's what we do. We internalize. And when that internalization isn't true, okay, that internalization of information that isn't true, it creates this weird and wonky feeling in our body. We don't always realize that it's from something like this either. So let's say that I'm reading some random article on Facebook, right? It's biased and it has part truth and it has part viewpoint. So it's really not necessarily true because when somebody puts their viewpoint on it, skews the whole story, okay? It doesn't matter what it is. And as we read it, we bring this information into our being. And the stuff that isn't true, our body is aware of. Our body's very intuitively aware of information that isn't true because it has a different resonance frequency on it, okay? And so our body starts energetically resisting it, okay? Then we feel off, like a little bit later, like, gosh, I just feel off. Like I can't really put my finger on what's off. I just don't feel right. And we move on with our day, really not thinking much of it, just having this weird off sensation that we can't really put our finger on, right? And later in the day, we have this random conversation about the very article, maybe the same concept, maybe it's about some big story or something that's going on, and it makes us a bit angry talking about it, okay? And that's a clue. Whenever you feel angry when you're looking at something, it's because what you're looking at isn't completely 100% true. And it always invokes an energy of anger inside of you when you're talking about something that isn't true. Okay, so you move on. And later that night, you just keep getting this nagging sense of something's wrong, but you aren't sure what. And just again, like on a little sidebar here, whenever you feel something is wrong but you don't know what it is, has literally nothing to do with you. Okay, if you're just feeling this off feeling and you're trying to loop on this figuring out what's going on with you, it's not yours ever. Never, ever, ever. Just want to say that real quick. So you keep moving on, and every day you feel heavier and heavier and you don't know why, right? Really, most of us live in this constant space of heavy. We feel constricted. We feel weighed down. And really, no quote unquote reason. I think the medical community would call this depression, right? Would clinically define it as having depression. Uh, and I'm not a doctor, but what I found from my personal point of view, it's information overwhelm. It's this narrow view of life that really separates you from the big picture of why something is created and happens the way that it does. Nothing, literally nothing just happens by accident. Okay, nothing. Just feel the truth of that in your body for just one moment. Nothing just happens by accident. Yeah, just breathe that space in for a moment. Whenever you feel yourself take that big sigh of relief, that's always a lightness, that's always a truth coming over your body. Universe is always conspiring to give you exactly what you desire in your life. It's really just our points of view that make these things bad or wrong or awful or terrible. Everything is fluid. And information only gets stuck in limitation when someone labels it as good or bad or right or wrong. I know sometimes it can be really hard to look at some things big picture style, but when you do, you can see the path and the reason and the justification for every single step. As someone who hears, sees, feels everything, you, as an energetically sensitive being, you have to get better about feeling and receiving the whole story. So you aren't getting caught up in the resistance this reality breeds to keep us in contraction and sickness and overwhelm. We must understand how very deeply and very perfect everything that happens truly is. This world is always conspiring to give you exactly what you desire. It doesn't always show up how you think it's going to look, but if you look at the big picture, if you look at the big path, you will see that what is created every single day is part and piece of the bigger picture of really what was desired.